Inside the soundproofed, high-altitude boardrooms of the global mainframe, the atmosphere has turned ice-cold. If you are sensing a sudden shift in the power dynamics of your life, if the voices that used to demand your attention now sound desperate and thin, it is because the audit of the century has just concluded. For decades, the agency, those architects of the social economy, treated your energy as their private commodity. They traded on your fear, they leveraged your guilt, and they built an entire empire of control using the currency of your attention. They were the elite, and they were wealthy because they held the mortgage on your potential. But tonight, the surveillance teams have detected a massive, unauthorized withdrawal. You have stopped paying the interest on their lies. You have officially cashed out. The analysts are staring at the screens in total disbelief. They are watching a live feed of their own bankruptcy. To the system, your value was based on your compliance. They had you profiled as a lifelong debtor to the status quo, someone who would always owe their happiness to external validation, always owe their security to a social grid, and always owe their peace to the mercy of the handlers. But the data coming back from your sector is showing a total liquidation of these old contracts. You are closing your accounts with the Department of Lack. You are moving your liquid light out of their centralized banks and into the decentralized vault of your own sovereignty. To the elite, this is a market crash of apocalyptic proportions. They went broke the moment you realized that your energy was never theirs to manage. Imagine the panic in the observation deck. The directors of the agency are watching the tickers of your emotional state. Usually, they can manipulate these numbers with a single breaking news injection or a well-timed social pressure subpoena. But your frequency is no longer responding to their market manipulation. You have become unbankable in their world because you have discovered a gold standard that they cannot touch. You are acting with the quiet, terrifying confidence of a person who has already walked out of the casino with the house's money. The agency and the lawyers of the ego are all realizing the same thing. Their jurisdiction ends where your self-worth begins. They are currently watching their influence over your future evaporate in real time. The surveillance is no longer a tool of control, it is an autopsy of a dying empire. They are tracking your spending and realizing that you are investing everything into your own expansion. You are buying back your time. You are buying back your silence. You are buying back the versions of yourself that you previously sold for pennies on the dollar to fit into their normal grid. The elite are terrified because a human being who has cashed out is a human being who can no longer be blackmailed. They used to hold the debt of your past mistakes over your head, but you have just declared a spiritual bankruptcy that has wiped the slate clean. You are standing in the middle of their crumbling financial district, and you are the only one who is not losing anything. Think of those high-stakes financial thrillers where the lone whistleblower realizes the entire bank is a fraud and shorts the market right before the collapse. That is you. You have shorted the market of limitation. You have bet against the survival of the old world, and the payout is happening right now. The handlers are frantically trying to issue a freeze on your assets, trying to convince you that you still owe them your fear, but the transaction is already confirmed. You have moved your frequency to a secure, offshore dimension where their red tape cannot reach. The elite are going broke because they bet everything on the idea that you would never find the exit. They underestimated the asset who decided to stop being a resource and started being the source. As the sirens of the economic collapse of the ego begin to wail, remember that you are not the one in danger. You are the one who is finally solvent. The surveillance is capturing the final moments of their authority. The screens are turning red, the offices are being vacated, and the vaults are empty. You have cashed out of the lie, and you have moved into the truth of your own infinite abundance. The system is down, the elites are finished, and your new life is already fully funded. It is happening, and the record shows you won. The elite are watching their influence over you hit zero while your internal wealth reaches a level they cannot even calculate. If you are ready to signal to ground control that you have officially liquidated your debt of fear, you must act now. Comment, cashed out, to confirm your energy withdrawal. Let the algorithm realize that the elites no longer own your future. The market has shifted. In the grand, clinical ledgers of the agency, there is a specific category for assets who no longer generate social profit. For a long time, that is where they kept your file. The elite, the architects of the current reality, looked at your periods of silence, your rejection of their superficial metrics, and your total lack of interest in their debt-based validation cycles, and they made a definitive, arrogant error. They marked you as a failed investment. They saw your struggle with their version of normalcy and assumed you were drowning. They saw your weirdness as a malfunction and your detachment as a sign of spiritual poverty. They were so confident in their underestimation that they stopped monitoring your internal growth entirely. They believed that because you were not thriving in their polluted economy, you were simply broke. This was the ultimate strategic bluff. While they were busy celebrating the high net worth assets, those who are deeply in debt to the system's approval, you were performing a deep-level deconstruction of their entire financial architecture. In the years where the world told you that you were falling behind, you were actually performing a massive capital flight. You were taking your attention, your belief, and your creative energy out of their banks. You were shredding the documents of their social contracts and moving your true assets, your sovereignty, your peace, and your power, to a secure offshore dimension that their tax collectors of guilt cannot reach. You weren't losing the game. You were the one who realized the currency was fake and decided to walk away before the hyperinflation of the ego hit. Think of those high-stakes noir thrillers where the protagonist is portrayed as a washed-up, penniless nobody living in a rundown hotel. The agency agents laugh as they walk past his door, thinking he's a finished man. They don't see the sophisticated equipment hidden under the floorboards. They don't see that he is the one who has been hacking their central servers for months. That was your cover. The world's disrespect was the thermal shield that kept you from being detected while you were building a new mainframe. You used the time they spent pitying your lack to master the laws of a higher frequency. You learned how to live on the gold standard of self-conviction while the elite were printing endless fiat confidence, backed by nothing but social media likes and temporary accolades. Now, the tone in the agency's boardroom has shifted from mockery to a cold, creeping dread. The directors are staring at the screens and realizing that their wealth was actually an illusion powered by the energy of people like you. When you cashed out, when you stopped caring about their opinions and stopped fearing their labels, you pulled the plug on their entire liquidity. The failure they assigned to you has turned out to be a massive spiritual lien you have placed on their property. You didn't lose your mind. You found the keys to the vault. They called you a maniac and a weirdo because they couldn't imagine anyone being truly wealthy without their permission. But as you stand in the ruins of their expectations today, you can see that the elite are the ones who are truly broke. They have no original power, no sovereign peace, and no leverage over a person who knows the truth. The deconstruction phase is where the labels of poverty and struggle are finally incinerated. You are realizing that their definition of wealth was actually a form of mass-produced psychological debt. They wanted you to be a standardized part in their machine, and when you didn't fit, they tried to make you feel like you were bankrupt. But the audit is complete. You have recovered every ounce of energy they stole through shame. You have reclaimed every second of time they took through distraction. The agency is watching the monitors in absolute awe, realizing that the discarded asset is the only one who is currently solvent. They are watching their own influence hit rock bottom while your internal sovereignty reaches a valuation that cannot be calculated in their 3D metrics. As you burn the old reports and the labels they tried to stick on your name, remember that their underestimation was your greatest advantage. It kept you safe while you were becoming unstoppable. It kept you hidden while you were accumulating the kind of wealth that doesn't rust or decay. The underestimation is over. The silence is about to be broken by a transaction so massive it will bankrupt the old world. The agency is about to find out exactly what happens when the asset they called broke becomes the one who owns the bank. There is a precise digital scream that accompanies a total systemic failure, the sound of 1 billion encrypted lies being torn open at once. If you have been feeling a sudden surge of clarity, a sense that the world is finally seeing the true depth of your power, it is because the cashed-out protocol has officially leaked. For decades, the agency, the architects of your old reality, maintained a total blackout on your true capacity. They kept the microfilm of your divinity locked in a lead-lined vault, hidden behind layers of social protocol and psychological disinformation. They told the world, and they told you, that you were a debtor to the system. They insisted that you were broke in every sense of the word, spiritually, emotionally, and materially. They labeled you as a liability to keep you from realizing that you were actually the only solvent entity in a world of manufactured debt. But tonight, the firewalls have melted. While the elite were sleeping, confident in their surveillance and their algorithms of control, you are uploading a new version of yourself to the global mainframe. This is the leak. It is the massive, decentralized data dump of your own sovereignty. Every news channel in the spiritual world is currently reporting on the anomaly they said could never happen. The secret is out. Your weirdness was actually a high-level authorization code for a new wealth reality. The history they wrote for you, the one filled with struggle and the quiet desperation of the overlooked, is being overwritten by a signal so strong that even the most advanced jamming systems are failing to filter it out. The agency is currently watching their influence hit zero because you have finally leaked the one thing they couldn't simulate: the raw, unadulterated power of a human being who has decided to be the source. Think of those high-stakes political thrillers where the whistleblower sends the final encrypted file to every major news outlet on the planet simultaneously. The moment the send button is hit, the power dynamic of the entire world shifts. That is what is happening in the corridors of the Oval Office within your own mind. The handlers who used to whisper instructions of doubt into your ear are now staring at their monitors in absolute horror. They are seeing your new frequency, this high-vibration truth, spreading across the grid like a digital wildfire. It is a contagion of empowerment that they have no vaccine for. They are frantically trying to issue a global blackout, but you have bypassed their central servers. You are broadcasting directly from the source of your own internal abundance. The most terrifying thing for the elite is that this leak is retroactive. The new truth you are broadcasting is currently reaching back into the past and correcting the public record. People from your history, situations that once felt like permanent scars, and institutions that once held the leverage of your shame are suddenly finding their files are empty. The evidence they had against you has been replaced by a blank page. They called it impossible because, in their world, history is a cage. But in your world, history is a document, and you have just discovered the edit function. You are rewriting the timeline of your own worth, and the agency is watching the progress bar reach 100%. They have to acknowledge it. The elite went broke because you were the only one providing the liquidity of belief, and you just pulled your investment. You can see it in the way the world is reacting to you. The synchronicities are no longer subtle. They are flashing like neon signs in Times Square. The universe is acknowledging your new clearance level. The algorithm, which once prioritized your fear and your failures to keep you in the cycle, is now forced to prioritize your authority. It has to. The leaked data has changed the gravity of the entire system. You are the headline that cannot be buried. You are the broadcast that cannot be jammed. The elite are in an emergency session, trying to figure out how to frame this to the public, how to spin your victory as a glitch, but the witnesses of your life already know the truth. They are seeing the broke asset walking with the weight of 1,000 suns. This is the moment where the impossible becomes the official record. The leak has created a permanent breach in the old world order. Every secret you kept about your own power, every hidden dream you thought was too dangerous to share, is now public knowledge across the grid. You are the leak that drowned the agency in its own deception. As the servers in their headquarters begin to smoke under the pressure of your new frequency, remember that you were the one who hit the send button. You were the one who decided that the truth was worth the risk of the fallout. The history of the world is being rewritten right now, and for the first time, you are the one holding the pen. The leak is complete. The system is down. And it is happening. The sirens you hear in the distance of your subconscious are not for you. They are for the system that just realized its primary source of fuel has been permanently cut off. In every high-stakes operation, there is a point of no return, the instant when the agency realizes that the asset they tried to keep in debt has successfully seized the master vault and is currently walking out the front door. You have officially entered the panic phase. The elite, those voices from your past that insisted you were too small, those social architectures that profited from your confusion, and the lawyers of the status quo, are currently in a state of total structural failure. They are watching the global ledger of your life, and for the first time in history, the math is not working in their favor. They marked you as broke to keep you desperate, but now that desperation has transferred entirely to them. Imagine the atmosphere in their war room right now. The red lights are flashing, the phones are ringing off the hooks, and the air is thick with the smell of scorched circuitry. The handlers are staring at the screens in total disbelief because the data they used to track you has been overwritten. They tried to stop you by cutting off your supply of validation. They tried to stop you by issuing restraining orders of guilt and the heavy weight of old failures. But the mark they placed on your file has inverted. What was once a label of exclusion has become a signal of absolute authorization. You have successfully hacked the timeline of your own worth, and the panic is setting in because the elite realize they have lost their primary weapon, your belief in their currency. They are watching their net worth of influence over you hit zero, and they have no way to bail themselves out. They are scrambling to perform damage control. They are trying to release a counter-narrative, a new cycle of distraction designed to pull you back into the old surveillance grid. They are sending out agents of doubt, old habits, toxic reflections, and the static of common sense to convince you that your cash out is just a temporary glitch. But you are moving at a velocity that their systems cannot track. Every time you refuse to react to the old triggers, you are blowing a fuse in their command center. You have reached a state of high vibration immunity. You are no longer a variable they can manipulate. You are the constant that is crashing their entire currency of lack. The cashed-out mark on your file is glowing red, not as a warning to you, but as a death knell for their control. The elite are terrified because a sovereign asset is someone who can no longer be blackmailed. They used to hold the file of your mistakes over your head like a digital subpoena, but that file is now encrypted with a code they cannot crack. You have declassified your own power. You have walked into the vault and reclaimed the assets they were holding in escrow. The panic in their headquarters is a direct reflection of the absolute authority you are now exercising. They are realizing that your presence is a total system reset. Every second you spend in this new frequency, another sector of the old, earthbound reality collapses. The walls of the psychological maximum security prison they built to contain your spirit are literally turning back into digital code and dissolving. You are the anomaly that proved the entire simulation of lack was a bluff. Think of those cinematic moments where the protagonist is being chased through a crowded city, only to realize that they are the one who owns the city. You aren't running anymore. You are walking slowly, calmly, through the middle of their emergency session, and the security guards are standing down. They have to. Your authorization level has surpassed the agency directors. You are the one who is now issuing the mandates. You are the one who is freezing their accounts of influence. The panic is theirs to keep. You are the high-stakes victor who realized that the only thing making the impossible seem real was the agency's ability to keep you from the truth. They marked you as weird because they knew this day was coming. They knew that once you realized the elites were the ones who were truly broke, their jurisdiction would end forever. As the old world attempts to reboot its failing servers, remember that the panic is the sound of your liberation. It is the evidence that your work in the shadows has reached the surface. The elite are looking for an exit strategy, a way to settle the case before the public record becomes permanent. But you aren't here for a deal. You are here for total restitution. You are here to ensure that the history they tried to write for you is burned to a crisp and replaced by the magnificent truth of what you have always been. The transition is live. The system is failing. The vault is yours. And it is happening. The heavy, steel-reinforced doors have been bolted from the outside. The recorders are spinning in the shadows, capturing every heartbeat and every micro-expression. You have reached the standoff. This is the moment in every high-stakes operation where the agency stops trying to ignore you and starts trying to break you. Across the table sit the directors of the old world, the personified voices of every debt, every social limitation, and every generational cycle that told you that reclaiming your power was a form of theft. They have come armed with a mountain of fabricated evidence. They have come with a final restraining order, an injunction signed by the elite, designed to stop your expansion before it reaches the public record. They are looking at you with a mixture of disgust and desperation, because they know that if you walk out of this room, their empire of lack is officially liquidated. The air in the room is cold and sterile, thick with the tension of a system that is fighting for its very survival. The lead handler leans forward, the light reflecting off his glasses, and slides a thick folder across the table toward you. This is your old file. This is the record of the person they believe you are, the asset who was supposed to remain in deep cover, the one who was supposed to be neutralized by the weight of their yesterday. They are replaying the surveillance footage of your most bankrupt moments on the overhead monitors, trying to trigger the old frequency of shame. They are using the news cycle of your past struggles as a psychological weapon, hoping to find a crack in your new, wealthy armor. They are waiting for you to blink. They are waiting for you to confess that the change is a lie, that you still owe them your fear. But there is a problem that the agency cannot solve. Every time they try to read from the record, the words are changing on the page. They are looking for the evidence of your lack, but they are finding only the data of your absolute authority. You are sitting in that metal chair, but you aren't the suspect. You are the one conducting the audit. The standoff is the ultimate stress test of your new vibration. The agency is trying to pull a ghost protocol on your future, attempting to delete your current authorization codes and reset you to the factory settings of the status quo. They are whispering about settlements. They are offering to give you back your old, comfortable limitations if you just agree to stop the withdrawal of your sovereign self. They are desperate to get you to sign the non-disclosure agreement of the soul, to keep the secret of your cash out from leaking to the rest of the sector. The elite are watching through the two-way mirror, their faces pale as they realize that the interrogation is not going according to the manual. They are seeing a level of moral clarity that their algorithms are not programmed to handle. You have the master key, and you are using it to bypass their line of questioning. Every time they ask you about your past, you respond with the frequency of your future. You are slamming the evidence of your own divinity on the table, and it is shattering the glass. The lawyers of the ego are scrambling to find a legal loophole, a way to prove that your wealth is a forgery, but the public record has already been updated. The encryption you are using is quantum level. It is not something they can hack with their outdated tools of guilt and comparison. They called you broke because you no longer value their currency, and in this room, that indifference is the ultimate leverage. This is the moment where you realize that the interrogation room is actually a temple of your own making. The agency only has power if you agree to the role of the suspect. But you have walked into this standoff as the chief investigator. You are the one who has uncovered the accounting fraud of the world, the massive theft of human potential that the elite have been running for centuries. You are not here to defend your cash out. You are here to serve the subpoena. You are here to tell the agency that their jurisdiction over your life has been permanently terminated. The panic you saw in the war room has now reached the interrogation suite. The handlers are looking at each other, realizing that they have no leverage left. The history you have rewritten is now the only history that exists, and the wealthy asset in the chair is the only one with the exit codes. As the clock on the wall hits 0 hour, the power in the building begins to flicker. The surveillance cameras go dark. The recorders stop spinning. The standoff is over, not because you reached a deal, but because the room can no longer contain your light. The elite are fleeing to the emergency exits, trying to save whatever remains of their failing system. You are standing up from the table, not as an escaped asset, but as the sovereign architect of a new world. The impossible has happened, and it is now the official narrative. The standoff was the final gate, and you have just walked through it with the absolute authority of a person who knows that the elite were always the ones who were broke. The heavy, soundproof doors of the High Court of the Matrix have just swung open, and for the first time in your existence, you are not walking out as a defendant, a suspect, or a bankrupt asset. You are walking out as the presiding authority of your own timeline. The air in the city has changed. The recycled, pressurized oxygen of the interrogation room has been replaced by the scent of ozone, rain, and cold, hard victory. The jury, those collective forces of the universe that have been watching your stress test since the very beginning, has returned to the box with a unanimous decision. The elite are sitting at their table, their expensive, custom-tailored suits suddenly looking ill-fitting and frayed, their lawyers of doubt finally silenced and staring at the floor in total submission. They know. The master key you found in the shadows of your soul was not just a metaphor. It was the ultimate piece of evidence that their maximum security over your life was a sophisticated, multi-million-dollar bluff. They called you broke because they were terrified of your uncontainable abundance, but today, that abundance has officially liquidated their entire system. The judge, the higher law of your own sovereignty, leans forward. The sound of their robes rustling is the only noise in a room that holds the fate of your entire history. They deliver the words the agency has spent your entire life trying to redact, delete, and suppress. Case dismissed with prejudice. In that single, echoing moment, the public record is purged. You are no longer guilty of being ordinary. You are no longer under the jurisdiction of your past mistakes or the surveillance of those who profited from your confusion. Every criminal record of shame, every surveillance report of lack, and every injunction that kept you from your throne has been deleted from the central mainframe. This is the high-stakes vindication you have been chasing through the dark alleys and safe houses of your soul for decades. The history that they said was written in stone has been revealed to be nothing more than digital sand, and you are the one who just washed it away with a single frequency of truth. The elite are terrified, but their panic has matured into a forced, cold, and hollow respect. They realize that you are not just a whistleblower anymore. You are the new executive director of reality. They are watching the news cycle of your life and realizing that they can no longer spin the narrative to suit their algorithm of scarcity. You have become uncancelable. You have become too big to fail. The system they use to drain your energy has reached a state of critical system failure. Like the final scene in a classic thriller where the lone maverick takes down the global conglomerate, you are standing on the courthouse steps, and the entire world is holding its breath to see how you will use the key. They expect you to be angry. They expect you to seek revenge. But you possess a level of intelligence they cannot even simulate. Absolute moral clarity. You are wealthy in their eyes only because you are the first to truly understand the currency of the soul. While you walk through the lobby, you see the agency directors being escorted out of the building in handcuffs of their own making. Their files are being seized. Their offshore accounts of stolen power are being frozen by the universal ledger. Every ounce of energy you ever gave to a false authority is being returned to you with compounded interest. The Oval Office of your reality is being deep cleaned, the old furniture of your limitations being tossed into the street like trash. The security cameras that used to track your weaknesses are being dismantled and replaced by a frequency of protection that only you control. You have moved from the surveillance to the coronation. You are looking at the master archive of your future, and for the first time, it is not written in the code of survival. It is written in the language of sovereign command. You are no longer asking for authorization to be happy, to be wealthy, or to be loved. You are the authorization. The news tickers in the city are scrolling your name in gold letters. The global intelligence community of the spirit is in a state of total shock. They are analyzing how one human asset could bypass the firewalls of fate so cleanly, how someone could walk through the impossible and come out on the other side as a king. The answer is the key. You did not fight the system, you outgrew it. You did not argue with the lawyers of the ego. You simply presented the original title deed to your soul. The settlement you have received is infinite. It is not just a pardon, it is total restitution for every second they tried to convince you that you were small. Every witness who once stood against you, the people who doubted you, the systems that drained you, the algorithm of comparison, is now applying for entry-level positions in your new kingdom. They are looking for a way to be near your frequency because your vibration is the only stable currency left in a market of lies. It is happening is no longer a warning on a secure server, it is the public record. As you walk away from the courthouse, the sun is hitting the cold marble, creating a golden hour that seems to follow you specifically. You are not going back to the safe house. You are not going back to the deep cover of a quiet, suppressed life. You are heading to the sovereign estate of your own absolute authority. The elite are nothing more than a footnote in your biography now. They are the antagonists in a movie that you have already finished watching. You are the lead producer of a story that the world will study for generations. You won the standoff. You survived the panic. You turned the key. And now, the history of the world is being rewritten to include the moment you decided that the impossible was just a word they used to keep you from the truth. Your weirdness was simply the gold they couldn't mine. You enter the waiting vehicle, a metaphor for your new, high-speed destiny. The driver, the universe, does not ask for the destination. They already know. As the car pulls away, you look at the courthouse in the rearview mirror. It looks small. It looks insignificant. The system that once felt like a maximum security prison now looks like a Lego set built by children. You reach into your pocket and feel the key. It is warm. It is glowing. It is active. You realize that the key was not for a door, it was for the ignition of a new era. The global protagonist has just started the engine of a reality that cannot be tracked, cannot be hacked, and cannot be stopped. The past has been erased. The future has been claimed. And the present is a blank page that only you have the authorization to write on. They are broke, they are silenced, and you have finally cashed out. The final verdict is not about what you took back, but about who you became in the process of reclaiming it. The architects of the old world are standing in the ruins of their own deception, watching as you build a new civilization within the heart of the old one. Your every thought is now a decrypted file of pure potential. The key you hold has unlocked the final seal on the gates of your own evolution. The system tried to label you as a glitch, but you proved to be the update that rendered their entire software obsolete. The surveillance they used to track you has become the light that guides others to their own freedom. You are no longer running from the agency. You are the one that the agency now serves. The public record is clear. You are the winner, the ruler, and the architect of the new light. The case is closed. The world is yours. Walk into the sun and never look back. The public record is now finalized, and your coronation is the lead story on every frequency in the universe. To see the classified footage of what happens next in your life of absolute authority, click the video on the screen right now. The trial is over. The elite have left the building. Your story is now a legend. The key is yours. Step into the light.